back to yet another Star Trek podcast. I am one of your three hosts. I am 33% of the gang. My name is Majid. With me is Drew. He's here.
I'm like 66% of the gang? Is that what you're saying? Call me fat?
No, I mean, we still have Brad. Brad is still the other 33.1. No, you'd be 33.1.
Where is he?
Who?
Brad. Where is he?
Where in the world is Brad? I don't know.
Maybe we'll find out later.
Sometimes I think that Brad he has these excursions and he wants to do things with his life. Like, I know he was at a Grateful Dead concert in Mexico.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. It's their like farewell tour.
Uh-huh.
So I know Brad's a very big fan of Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
I heard that he sold one of his kidneys to get tickets.
That sounds about right. They were doing some pretty crazy stuff. The reason it was in Mexico is because they were going to go to some, I guess, Mexican temple to try to raise Jerry Garcia from the dead for the concert. And they needed everybody that was going to the concert to supply a kidney. It's part of the ritual.
The guy from the ice cream?
Actually,
Cherry
no.
Garcia.
But no, it's named after him. Yes, I had to think for a second, but yes, the very same one.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he's one dead and two from the Grateful Dead.
I didn't know that he died.
Yeah, quite some time ago.
He died.
Yeah.
Speaking of random dead celebrities, that's a hell of a segue, and I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but I'm thinking about it. Apparently, there's a George Carlin special made up completely of AI, and I think that his kids were suing. I think the title was called "Glad to Be Dead." It is such a disrespectful, special name, right? Although maybe I don't know much about George Carlin's style to say that it's a disrespectful name, but just the whole idea of using AI generated voice for a comedy special, it's weird.
Yeah, I would need to know more about this. I feel like George Carlin is the kind of comedian that might see some kind of humor in the irony of the whole situation, but I feel like that's crossing some lines.
Yeah. If we're being completely honest, secret time. You and I have played with AI cloning. It's scary. It's scary what we can do with AI today.
Well, the first clone that you had, the shoulders were just massive. It was basically all shoulders.
Right. Right. That one we haven't unveiled to our fans yet. The one I'm talking about is our AI cloned voices.
Yeah,
you're over here spoiling secrets, Drew. No, the AI cloned voice. I cloned my own voice from 2 sentences, and I just typed in some stuff that I would say but didn't say, and it sounds like I said it. The whole idea was to like Weekend at Bernie's Brad. We get some of his old recordings.
Yeah.
You get the reference for Weekend at Bernie's?
No, enlighten me.
Weekend at Bernie's was a movie back in the 80s. Weekend at Bernie's. The boss, there was 2 employees. Their boss's name was Bernie. Bernie died sometime during the weekend, and they had to make it look like Bernie was still alive. So they positioned this dead corpse just throughout the entire movie. It's such a ridiculous premise, and they even made a sequel called Weekend at Bernie's 2. And there was voodoo involved in that one. But
of course there was.
So when I say we've heard the Weekend at Bernie's Brad, Brad's not dead.
We don't know that to be true.
He's just dead to Drew.
Grateful Dead.
Oh man, I love you, Brad. Come back to us. Hey, listen, this episode was great, and I can't wait to get to it. But first, I finished Making It So, the Patrick Stewart book.
What'd you think?
I loved it.
It was great.
Yeah, I think I told you this during the I think when I was like 3/4 of the way done, I told you that his love, his respect and admiration for Brett Spiner and oh my God, why is his name escaping me? Riker.
Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah, Jonathan Frakes. It's just it's so wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
He talks about these two guys, and there's just love there, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, Patrick Stewart apparently had some failed marriages. He talks about that too. And I don't know, he just gets really personal. And I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it to be heartfelt.
Yeah, it's a tough line with autobiographies, you know. I think very frequently the writer will try to make themselves look good in the process or be very choosy with what they allow the public to see. And, you know, we'll never know for sure that whether or not he did the same here, but it didn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Everything felt very genuine.
Yeah, it felt very genuine. It felt like he was just laying his heart on the line, you know?
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it so much that I ended up grabbing Blunt Talk because he talked very he spoke highly of that show, Blunt Talk.
Yeah, that show was great. Loved that show.
I thought that Seth MacFarlane had more to do with it, but Seth MacFarlane was only a executive producer. But then you look at Patrick Stewart's IMDb, in addition to him voicing Avery Bullock, the CIA director, which, by the way, a CIA director with a British accent that no one cares about, you know?
Yeah.
But he's also done a lot of work with Patrick Stewart. Seth MacFarlane's done a lot of work with Patrick Stewart.
Right.
A lot of voiceover work. It's just a really good read. It made me want to jump into Next Generation, and I'm trying to be very careful because I don't want to jump ahead, you know? But I don't know. I just such a great book.
I mean, you know, obviously, like you and I have discussed plans to hopefully some point cover Next Generation here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to choose to venture off on your own, there's nothing about the original series that's a prerequisite. You could dive
That's
right
great.
in.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Gene Roddenberry did not like Patrick Stewart.
Apparently not. Not at first.
Well, apparently not even in the end.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, he just didn't like him, didn't care for him. Mm-hmm. And Patrick Stewart also says, you know, I wish Gene Roddenberry could have been around to see how beloved Jean-Luc Picard is to so many people.
Yeah.
But sadly, we'll never get that. And,
well, you know, I mean, Hollywood is a fickle business, and you know, unfortunately, not everybody is liked by everybody. It's just kind of how it shakes out, and you know, it is what it is. But you know, obviously, I think it worked out for the better. You know, Patrick Stewart has gone on to have an amazing career, and Star Trek has a large part of that, and he's changed through that character so many lives.
Yeah,
you know, it's not an understatement to say that, you know, a lot of people grew up wanting to be as much like him as possible, you know, and used the lessons that Star Trek portrayed as a means of developing their own more morality compass, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you can always end up like, you know, Kirk and just murder your red shirts.
Well, I mean, you'll see flashes of that in the original series, right? Like, even in Mirror Mirror, you know, there is a moment in the beginning of the episode and towards the end of the episode as well, too, where Kirk shows compassion and, acknowledges it's like, hey, we have the power to take this thing from you, but we're not going to, because that's not who we are and what we stand for.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into that. I could honestly talk about Patrick Stewart's book all night with you, and I think that would be great. But in person, in your backyard with a fire pit and some hot cocoa and some blankets covering our legs, and we just talk about Patrick Stewart.
Can we cuddle?
In this scenario, though, we're on different chairs using different blankets.
Oh,
so we're not cuddling. I just want to make that clear.
I bought a heated blanket for my wife for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
My cat took it. It's not my cat's blanket. Metro.
Of course, give him everything. He deserves everything. Yeah, he's been through some stuff. Let him have this.
Yeah, he's been on the mean streets of Connecticut, man.
Right, he's a yardway cat.
Yeah,
rail yard cat. Hey, you ready to jump into one of the all-time greats?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
After unsuccessfully begging the Halkins for the mining rights to their own
You better keep that in. You better not edit that. You better not edit that out.
5, 4, 3. I'm so tired. After unsuccessfully begging the Halkins for dilithium mining rights, Kirk, McCoy, Scotty, and Uhura beam back to the Enterprise. But, shock, it's the wrong Enterprise. An ion storm interferes with the transport, and they find themselves in a parallel universe. The usually calm Spock is now sporting a beard, signaling a not-so-friendly dimension. It's like stepping into a bizarro Starfleet where everyone swaps roles and ethics are as rare as a tribble on a Klingon ship. Spock is now the ruthless first officer, and he gives a masterclass in diplomacy with the ship's phasers. He wants to destroy everybody on the Halkin planet. Well, the crew starts putting 2 and 2 together, and they realize they're in the Terran Empire, which is a ruthless version of the Federation. Kirk, McCoy, and the gang must navigate this dangerous terrain while dodging threats and dealing with Spock, who desperately wants to commit genocide.
He's like, come on, please. Just let me blow him up just once.
Just once. Let me hit the button. Let me hit the button. Let me hit the button.
You did it last time.
Come on, Captain. Come on.
I'll be your friend.
Oh man. What did you think of this this intro and this whole setup here to this parallel dimension?
I thought that it was a tense episode throughout. I'm not going to bury the lead. I'm not going to spoil everything before you get to it, but the setup while they're negotiating and the thunder is in the background, it's cutting short this negotiation. And I'm like, that's a good through line. That's pretty good foreshadowing that there's clearly an issue there. Something is not as expected.
Right.
I thought that was, albeit probably now overused, plot device, but nevertheless, it's just really well done.
Yeah. I found it interesting that they were using their negotiations with the Halkins as such a counterpoint in the episode too, right? Like this is like a throwaway B story, but it becomes a central theme in identifying what the Terran Empire stands for.
Yeah.
So it was
a nice callback.
Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Well, the crew hatches a plan to blend in by donning the stylish uniforms of the Terran Empire. Kirk decides to play the rebel and, in a surprising twist, turns assassination into a fashion statement. They desperately try to conform to the new standards while avoiding the G word and secretly looking for a way back home. Meanwhile, as Kirk tries to modify the transporter, Spock catches him and detains him. Brings him back to sickbay, where Spock manages to easily defend himself against Kirk, Scotty, McCoy, and Uhura until Uhura smashes him in the head with a vise or a bust or something. Apparently, that's enough to nearly kill the man because McCoy wants to save his life, but Kirk and company get ambushed by Sulu and his security guard henchman first. But thanks to Kirk's mirror universe floozy, Marlena, and a powerful plot hole creating device called the Tantalus field, the henchmen start disappearing one by one. Eventually, Spock awakens and he's confused why he's still alive, but thanks to a mind meld with McCoy, it's all he needs to find out exactly what's going on. With a dash of trickery, Scotty's brilliance, and Kirk's strategic cunning, the crew manages to beam back finally to their own universe, leaving the Terran Empire to its bearded Spocks and fashion-forward rebellions. But Kirk does not leave before giving Spock the encouragement he needs to make a change and be better. Plus, he throws him that highly destructive weapon, Tantalus device, after all. Sum up the episode, Beards meet business. You can get promotions through assassination. And, well, you should probably never beam up during an ion storm.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of dumb.
I mean,
like,
you know, when the weather is bad, they tell you to stay indoors.
Yeah, like Scotty should get fired. He should get demoted, demerit or something.
They have, like, the most powerful Doppler radar system on the ship.
Right, and they couldn't warn him beforehand?
Right.
Ugh. You know what?
You know,
I'm less of a fan of Scotty.
This is typical of just any weather forecaster. They just never know when the storms are going to be bad.
Are you really going to dunk on them right now on weathercasters?
I just did. What are you going to do about it?
Nothing, man. It's in the episode. It's there.
That's right.
I can't do. So Marlena confused the heck out of me because she just appeared out of nowhere.
Yep.
Well, kind of almost literally, she came out of the shadows.
Yeah.
And Kirk is like, all right, I'm going to have to hook up with this chick.
Oh, God.
I don't want to, but the things I'm going to do to save my people. So come here, girl. Horn dog, Sulu.
Yeah, that was a interesting take.
Yeah,
seeing him all like kind of grabby with Uhura.
So he was helmsman and security,
I guess. It's kind of what they implied.
Not too bad. Speaking of Uhura, abs.
Yeah,
she's so cut.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's wild how cut she is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the mirror universe, they, they take the lack of clothing to an extreme.
Yeah, they did. Silk is a commodity over there.
Yeah, like everything is about like murder and sex in that universe.
Just like Grand Theft Auto.
I mean, basically.
Yeah. Grand Theft Star Trek. To be fair, I probably would play that game. Like, if there was an open world Star Trek game where I can do whatever I wanted, I'd do it.
Tell me about your character. Yeah, would you just go around like, phasering a bunch of cadets or something, or?
I would. Bump into me in the hallway, you're gonna die. Right to jail. Don't bring me my coffee. Right to jail. Right to the airlock. What else? What else can you do to me that I'm just gonna throw you out of an airlock? That's what I would do. That's the punishment. It's right out the airlock.
Throw people out of airlocks.
Yeah. What else would I do to you? Oh, you want to complain about my leadership style? Right through the airlock. I would be a merciful captain, but I would be ruthless.
I hear no mercy in any of this.
No, we'd have pizza on and dressed on Fridays.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So just like our old job.
After a while, yeah, it was just dressed down every single day because no one cared anymore because they were going to fire us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But firing in this case is just me throwing you out of an airlock. What would your character be in Grand Theft Star Trek?
I'd probably be the one that gets run over crossing the warp lanes.
Yeah, that's. I mean, they have good doctors there.
I guess so.
I can't believe we just watched the episode, like a classic episode of Star Trek, and we're talking about a hypothetical Star Trek video game.
It's late. I don't know what to tell you, man.
It's 7:45. By the way,
I have been up since 2:30 in the morning.
Is that are you bragging or complaining?
Yes.
So before we got on, I had to pick up my daughter, and I said, yeah, I just got to get home. She's like, oh, you're recording tonight? I said, yeah, it's 7:00 p.m. or no, she's like a.m. or p.m. I'm like, yeah, I'm recording tonight at 7 a.m. What's wrong with you? Go back to school. I can't with this kid, man.
To be fair, we have recorded a few times at 7 a.m.
But I picked her up a half hour ago.
Look, man, time is relative. It's a man-made construct. I don't know what to tell
you. Yeah, speaking of time, by the way, Kirk bought himself 12 hours off
basically.
The bat. He was cunning. He was strategic. That's the Captain Kirk I want to see. The Captain Kirk that's willing to outsmart you or able to outsmart you just at every single turn.
We haven't seen a ton of him. Like we've gotten little glimpses here and there, but the Captain Kirk that we've seen up to this point has primarily brute forced his way through most situations.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We did get to see brute force Captain Kirk in this episode.
Yeah.
You would think that with the amount of times he's tried to beat up Spock, he would learn his lesson.
Yeah, Spock backhanded the crap out of him.
Yeah, he's like, he's got to watch out for that left hand, and he never does.
I'm glad that Uhura got the better of that situation, though, because like Spock was kind of tossing her around too.
Speaking of Uhura, she just was a badass the entire episode.
Yeah,
yeah, she adapted really quickly to this horrible situation.
Mm-hmm. She put Sulu in his place. She figured out how to play the game and keep herself safe. It was well done. It was smart. It was nice to see that even in the 60s, Uhura wasn't a damsel in distress.
Yeah, I'm no expert on civil law, but I think that was workplace sexual harassment, and this is before the Me Too era. Sulu's lucky.
Yeah,
Sulu's very lucky. This didn't come back to bite him in the ass.
Yeah, well, we'll never know.
Do we ever go back to Mirror Universe?
Not in the original series, no. They end up making it there in Deep Space Nine, and then again in Enterprise, and then they did it in Discovery.
I remember this. That was the whole season 1, pretty much.
Discovery. That was the whole thing revolved around the Mirror Universe in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give spoilers here, but oh man, such really good twists.
Yeah,
it's such really good twist.
And I think like I there's a couple of the Mirror episodes that I've missed. I don't think I ever saw any of the Enterprise ones, but they've always been fun, And the way I see it is the actors get an opportunity to play the same characters in a different way. And if I were an actor, that sounds like a great time to me.
Yeah.
I think we had like 3 or 4 Mirror episodes in Deep Space Nine, and there was like an overarching story with it, and it was a lot of fun to see.
Yeah. Something that Patrick Stewart talked about, which I'm probably going to keep referencing his book a lot for the next few weeks until I forget whatever he wrote about. He talked about how the holodeck episodes of TNG allowed him to play a different character of sorts.
Yeah, Dixon
and
Hill.
those are the episodes he really cherished. I have to imagine that William Shatner loved doing the same thing because he just chews up scenery when he's the evil version of himself.
He only had 2 scenes, but
well, remember in the first season he was evil, but with
right,
eyeshadow.
You're right.
Yeah.
I forgot about eyeshadow Kirk.
Yeah, we have eyeshadow Kirk. We have goatee Spock.
What did you think of Mirror Universe Kirk in this episode? We only got to see a little bit of him.
We only got to see a little bit of him, but it was just the same as evil Kirk from season 1 with the puppy that they put into a costume.
Yeah, the Pomeranian unicorn.
Mm-hmm. Yep. New chat room name right there, Pomeranian unicorn. Gotta lock that in.
All right.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I don't know why they. Well, let's see. We had a core crew of Uhura, Kirk, Bones, and Scotty.
Right.
That's a pretty good mix.
Yeah. And it was the same 4 on that crossed over to the other side. So, they did a swappy swap. It wasn't like, Sulu ended up in our universe and it was a double.
Yeah.
We got a couple interesting technological discoveries in this episode. One of which the agonizer booth.
Yep.
Pretty sick and twisted stuff there, man.
That is very sick and twisted. Which, by the way, is another reference that I missed on Lower Decks. I'm pretty sure that was mentioned in Lower Decks for. It was an episode I Extradus, whatever it was called in Lower Decks, where they were doing the hologram tests. That I think that was a reference made.
I'd have to rewatch it. It's been a while since I've seen that one, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
We also had the Tantalus field.
I don't know what that is, but Brad does, and he's not here to explain it to me.
Right.
No, wait, I messed that line up. Normally, I know what we're talking about, but Brad doesn't. But can you explain it to? Hey, can you just explain it to me because I don't know what it is?
Sure. The Tantalus field is basically it's a plot hole device. Like, let's be honest here, right? Oh no, Kirk has 16 security guards coming at him. How is he possibly going to defend himself? I know. Let's just make one of them magically disappear. We'll blame it on a Tantalus field.
I would have preferred to see him do more judo, like he was John Wick.
Me too.
That judo throw I loved it. It was gorgeous.
There were some pretty good stunts in this episode.
Yeah. Another plot hole device was the Star Trek Siri that they used. They were like, "Hey Siri, is it possible for these conditions to create another mirror universe?" Yeah. Oh yeah, there is. Okay, cool. Is it possible for us to, go there and recreate this? They're like, "Yep." And that's I get it. You need to shave off 20 minutes from your episode. You need to have your heroes get to a solution and then put them in another obstacle. This episode would have worked great if it was also a 2-parter. They could have let some stuff breathe.
Yeah.
I did love that we got the famous DeForest Kelly. I'm a doctor, not an engineer. I love that.
Yeah, he did drop one of those.
Yeah. I think we should track those. I think it would probably do us some good to track those. And
yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's been done before. So if you want to take the lazy way out, I'm sure it wouldn't be too hard to find out how many of those are aware.
I'm okay with the lazy way. Let's do the lazy way. Forget I said anything. Cool. We're doing the lazy way.
All right, excellent. Because I'm not tracking that. I'm definitely not tracking that.
Yeah.
There was a point in time when we first started this podcast that I was keeping track of how many times Kirk's shirt got ripped.
Uh-huh.
I gave up after the 3rd episode.
Yeah, no, you should definitely track how many times Brad's shirt gets ripped.
Yeah.
It's 4. It's been 4 times. One of those times was an accident. Every other time he just looked us dead in the eye as he ripped off his shirt on camera.
Yeah.
He's like,
look at you during.
Yeah, he's like, can you tell I drank 4 beers today as he shows us his belly button? Like, no, Brad, we can't. Oh, gosh. Can't wait till he listens.
Did you expect Marlena to help Kirk?
Yes, I did.
You did.
I did. Because Kirk is such a good kisser. The way he holds her and kisses her, she's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I don't want to harm this guy. Why would I want to harm this guy?
Yeah. Well, she also like tried to hitch a ride with him back to the regular universe too.
Oh, that would have sucked for canon Marlene, because she would have been stuck in Mirror Universe.
Well, not necessarily. Well, I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't really know how that works because they brought Kirk and them onto the transporter pad in the Prime universe as well too. So there was that swap, that exchange happened.
Oh, I thought they just disappeared from the jail cell.
I don't think so. I could be wrong.
Spock speculates that the counterparts returned to their Enterprise at the same time the landing party arrived home.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so it's never definitively said. Man, this was such a good episode. It's such a big episode. It's ranked in so many people's like top 10, top 20 episodes. And I wish there was more for me to talk about. The whole thing is like there's no B plot in this episode. It's just one giant A plot.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that is happening is in service of getting them back to their mirror, to their normal universe. And there's no fat in this episode. There's no room for fats. You know, we just talked about a second ago with Star Trek Siri. They just, they use that as a way to figure out this predicament and save some time.
Right.
But
yeah,
man,
it's tricky when you have an episode that's written as well as this, because like I feel like some of our best episodes are the ones where we have like a really terrible episode of Star Trek. Because then we can get like really silly with it and criticize it. And there's like not a lot to criticize in this one.
No, there really isn't. I loved everything about it. DeForest Kelley, by the way, is quickly becoming one of my favorite actors on this show. Yeah. And it sucks that, I won't get to see a lot of him once we move out of TOS.
Yeah. I mean, I think the movie version of McCoy offers a wit and wisdom that is unmatched in Star Trek. He really becomes like Kirk's what's the word I'm looking for?
Conscience?
Like his conscience, his guide, and Spock is too, in a lot of ways too. Like the three of them, bond and become very close. But McCoy is that voice of reason, that sounding board that Kirk needs. And yeah, I mean, I'm a McCoy fan. Well, I really like McCoy, and I like DeForest Kelley's interpretation of him quite a bit.
Yeah, I can't help think about Carl Urban's portrayal of Bones every time I watch an episode, or I think about DeForest Kelley entirely. DeForest Kelley had passed away by the time Star Trek reboot had happened, right?
Oh, long before. He was the first out of the group to pass away, if I recall.
Yeah. So imagine that like Carl Urban did what he did with that role, which I think was very well casted, even if
I would
people
agree.
didn't agree at the time. But he had nothing to go on, man. It was just him doing his own thing. It was just Carl Urban being Carl Urban.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think it's fair to say he had nothing to go on. He had 79 episodes of the original series and 6 movies.
Right. I'm sorry. What I mean is that he didn't get a chance to interview, like,
Oh,
Zoe Saldana had the ability to talk to uh, Nichelle Nichols, and
right.
I think Chris Pine ended up talking to William Shatner as well.
Sure.
And of course, Zachary Quinto had Leonard Nimoy.
Right.
So
I mean, there's certainly a benefit to having access to those characters, or to those actors. But I think that there's benefits to not as well too, because then you get to make your own interpretation. And I think Urban paid tribute without being like a what's the word I'm looking for? Without being a satire, you know?
okay, sure, yeah. It was okay. I know what you mean. He was paying homage.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no, definitely great stuff. But back to Mirror Mirror. Um, you had any negatives about this episode at all?
Uh, not really. Like I feel like this one fired on all cylinders, start to finish. It was a very tight episode that kept me interested and engaged from the beginning. Even something that seemed like a throwaway with uh, the dilithium mining from the Halkins, was it?
Yeah,
Like that seemed like such a pointless plot line until they're standing on the bridge of the Enterprise, in the mirror universe, and you realize that, oh, Kirk just had that same negotiation, and now he has to destroy their planet.
yeah,
You
and
know, so so
yeah, it was a through line. It was great.
so everything served purpose. I don't know that there was a ton of reason for Marlena to be there, but I feel like she kind of showed another side that like not everybody is into all the stabbing. So it was fun seeing like characters like Chekhov and Sulu being so vindictive and just wanting to seize power by any means necessary. I mean, it was just well done, top to
Yeah,
bottom.
I would definitely be into all the stabbing.
I know.
It's a show of power. You know, how else are you gonna assert dominance if you can't stab?
I mean,
Um,
there's ways.
I mean, it's not anything we can go over now. We'll talk
No,
about it
no.
later off air.
Okay.
So can I take a stab at? No pun intended. No pun intended. Can I take a stab at what I think you would score this episode?
Yeah, hit me.
All right, I think you would give this a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair judgment. Just not a lot to dislike.
Yeah,
There really isn't. And I think what I like about this more than anything is the fact that it launched such a pivotal through line in so much of Star Trek yet to come.
yeah. It's
there
one of
was
those.
like there's so much fascination. Like I love parallel universe stories in Star Trek, and when they're done well, like I think Star Trek does them better than anybody. And this is just one example of doing it well.
Yeah, it's one of the things that Star Trek is just known for, right? So
Yeah.
when we did last season and we talked about some of the best episodes ever of Star Trek, the time travel episode, which one was it? Help me out here.
There's so many.
Well, right. I'm talking about the one where Kirk fell in love and they hopped through that portal.
City on the Edge of Forever.
Right. City on the Edge of Forever was one of the, most loved episodes of Star Trek. But in my mind, there was nothing really that kind of stood the test of time, and it wasn't referenced in media going forward. Well, what I mean by that is if you look at stories with like evil twins, there's usually some kind of, evil twin, and there's some kind of distinguishing thing about this evil twin, whether it be a facial scar like Sulu had, or whether it be a goatee to signify that you are evil. Like if you go up to anyone and say, "Oh yeah, no," how would you know that this person was evil? Like, oh yeah, well he has a twin. He has a twin with a beard.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's just one of those classic episodes for me. Just like this.
What would you give it a score?
Take a step. Oh, man, again, no pun intended.
I feel like you would also give it a solid 9. In the words of Brad, you would give it a solid 9.
Brad himself was a solid 9. Love you, Brad. I'm actually giving this a 10, Drew.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right. It's so good. This episode, like we've been talking about it, there's nothing wrong with this episode. The stunt coordination was great. Like it looked like William Shatner had been taking judo lessons. That was a well executed throw, something out of John Wick.
Yeah.
We joke about Spock kicking the ever loving crap out of Kirk, but I think in some way they learned from it because it was a 4-on-1 battle, and Bones being such a good doctor. I joke about Bones. I crack on Bones being a horrible doctor that just wants to get his patients drunk. He risked being stuck in a mirror universe just to check on Spock to make sure Spock was okay. Because he has was it Hippocratic Oath? Do they even take that in Starfleet?
Sure they do.
All right. Well, great. Then, he stood behind to help his fellow man. Mm-hmm. Scotty was on the ball too. Scotty was, he was an MVP. I think they all were MVPs.
Everybody was on the top of their game.
Yeah. Scotty was like, all I gotta do is, divert power and dilithium crystals and give her all she's got, Captain. And I need to help her. And, Bones was there too. And he was helping him, even though he didn't want to help him because he's a doctor, not an engineer. And super fit Uhura. We've seen this timid and, sometimes just, I guess timid's the right word to describe Uhura. She's usually kind of quiet spoken, always singing. She was deceptive. She had to be deceptive. It's what was required of her. Right. And she pulled it off. And Kirk, man, just absolutely nailing it on just quickly adapting. Him realizing that something was wrong and then just adapting. Yeah. I didn't love the pseudo-Nazi salute.
Yeah, that could have maybe have been redone. But I also think that it's a good illustration of like all that's wrong with that universe too.
It's a world where the Nazis won, and that's why the Terran Empire is in power.
I mean, that is possible.
We should write our own Terran Empire fan fiction.
Oh boy, it's going to get us in a lot more trouble than usual.
We'll just we'll have a ghostwriter. It'll be Brad. We'll put his name on it.
Speaking of Brad, where is Brad?
Where in the world is
Brad? Okay. Now, I think I got it. If I go straight down this corridor, past engineering, and then crap, I'm in a different dimension now. Okay. All right. This is good. This is good, right? They're just wearing mustaches. Well, that guy's wearing a mustache. That's not. He's not wearing a mustache. Okay. All right. This is good. We're good. All right. I should be safe here, away from the killer robot. And crap, they just killed people. This is not good. Okay. Yeah. Totally digging the new digs on Spock here. He's got a full-on goatee. Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. but I feel like he's going to kill me. I'm totally going to give this a good 9, but I don't think I'm going to survive here long. I need to get back to my own reality. Thank you very much.
Oh, that was that you. Thanks for that.
So cringy.
God, I love you, and sometimes I hate you, but I still love you. It's a cycle. Anyway, damn, Brad, you messed me up so much. It's just a really good episode. The the Nazi salute. Listen, there's a certain angle in which you salute, and if it gets to like this level, certain levels below your shoulder and right above your chest, that's maybe Nazi territory there.
Is that where you draw the line?
That's where we gotta be careful. I don't want to say draw the line, but man, everybody was doing it.
Yeah,
everyone was doing it. I wonder if anybody else online feels the same exact way. I'm not gonna Google it because I'm scared.
No, I
of
would
the
not.
results.
I would definitely not.
Star Trek Nazi salute. Oh, what a search! I'll search it on my wife's computer.
Wow. Oh man, you're gonna regret that.
No,
This is how you get divorced.
she will, because she never checks her history. So she won't even know. It's gonna come up in autofill one day. Her ads are gonna be ridiculous.
Oh no.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Anyway, this episode, for me, is a very well-deserved 10.
Yeah.
Excellent. The one I would rank above this, believe it or not, is Space Seed.
I believe that. I do believe that.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately Space Seed's a better story.
Yeah.
But it's okay to rank these episodes individually on, their own merit, like you don't have to rank an episode comparing it to the one before or the one after it.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about, episodes that I've rated really highly, I know Space Seed is one of the episodes I've rated highly, and I know I've also rated it above City on the Edge of Forever.
Mm-hmm.
This episode is one of my all-time favorites now.
I ended up giving City a little bit lower of a score than I thought it would too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but
yeah, you loved it. You just didn't love it. I get it.
Yeah.
You loved it, but you weren't in love with it.
Yes.
I've been
Good way
told
to
that a
put it.
lot too.
I know. It's okay, buddy.
Yeah. I tell you I love you after every single podcast, because if you don't tell your co-host that you love him, what's even the point of you being alive?
I don't know how to answer that.
Sometimes you don't. Just throw up the heart hands like this. Just, throw up. Oh, right there. There's the camera. Just throw up the heart hands sometimes. I know you love me. Oh, what was that? Sorry. Hearts just appeared on my screen as I said I love you.
Oh, is it because... Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. That was scary. AI is ridiculous. But enough of that. This was a good episode. I loved it. You have anything else for the people?
Not for this episode, but let's talk about next week.
The Apple.
Or in 2 weeks, I should say. The Enterprise crew discovers an Eden-like paradise on Gamma Trianguli 4. I always get those two mixed up. Anyway, controlled by a machine that is revered by the local humanoid primitives as a god. I've never seen this episode.
It looks spicy. I saw some screen caps as I was doing graphics. It looks spicy.
Spicy bad.
Spicy sexy.
Is this a bad episode? I see a freeze frame from the episode, and there's a man who looks to be covered in red paint with white hair, getting ready to fight Kirk.
Yep. There's also just sexiness. Going on. Revealing clothing and whatnot, because it's the 60s, right? It's Gene Roddenberry. Why not? Do you think?
Exactly.
Just keep it under 3 boobs, Gene Roddenberry. All right. Well, hey, everyone, thanks for tuning in. I really hope that you loved the episode as much as we did. And if you didn't, maybe give it another shot. Maybe give it another viewing with fresh eyes. And I'd love to hear what everyone else thinks as well. If everyone else is on the same page as Drew and I, and maybe Brad.
Yeah, let us know. Hit us up on our various forms of social media. Give you all that information in the show closing. On that note, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for listening to yet another Star Trek podcast. We are a part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on January 29th, 2024. I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. Please check us out on the web at www.yetanothersTpod.com. You can hit us up on our other social media forums as well. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or X, or whatever it is. Blue Sky. Got a YouTube page. Got TikTok. All of our social media is under Yet Another ST Pod, and we've got links for that in the show notes. We've also got links in the show notes for two very important people. First of all, George Ratau, thank you for making us look like Lower Decks characters. Go over to that link, click on it, and you can commission some artwork from George as well. Secondly, William Grobelar, he wrote our music. All of our music on the show is custom, and we couldn't have done it without him because he literally did it for us. Thank you, Will. Check out his music at SoundCloud. There's a link for that in the show notes as well, too. Do you have a mirror universe counterpart? Are you a doppelganger? Let us know all about it by shooting us an email, yetanothersTpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear about your doppelganger. And you can also tell us about your doppelganger in a lovely 5-star review on the podcast platform of your choice. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Google shut theirs down again. I don't know why. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.